Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Today's video is all about resume. I'll tell you about what is a resume, the format of a resume, tips to prepare the better resume, and in the end, I'll also tell you about the importance of a good resume. Fine. So, what is a resume? Resume is a 1 to 2 page document presenting key facts about your educational background, professional work experience, and your skills. Fine. So, a resume is used for job search. I mean to say, it is used to apply for jobs. Resume should only include those details about your work experience and skills that are relevant to the job opening. You have to make sure that you will not use unnecessary information, irrelevant information. You should only use the relevant information which you are providing to the other person about yourself. Right? Okay. So now I'll show you the format of a resume. Yes. Here you can see you have to start from your name. You have to mention your full name. And then you can see that I have created 3 boxes in which you have to mention about your current address, permanent address, and in the third box you have to attach your photograph. You have to make sure that your photograph should be in formals. It should not be in casuals. Right? If your current address and the permanent address, if these two addresses are same, then you don't have to write it again and again. I mean to say, you don't have to write the same thing in 2 separate boxes. You can just mention in a single line that the permanent address is same as the current address. However, if your current address is different from your permanent address, then you have to mention it separately. Fine. All right. Then you have to tell about, you have to mention about your email ID, your date of birth. DOB stands for date of birth. So this is the tip you have to follow, that if your photograph should be in formals, it should not be in casuals. Fine. All right. After this, you have to tell about your objective. Objective means why you are applying for a job. Or if you are applying for an internship, why you are applying for an internship in that particular organization. What is the objective behind this? So it depends upon person to person. Every person has a different objective. Right? You can use these lines which I have written over here if you want. So what I have written: intend to learn with an environment where experienced people will help me to explore myself fully and realize my potentiality, and willing to work as a learner in challenging and creative environment. So you are informing them, you are telling them that you are a great learner. You want to learn. You want to learn as much as you can. You want to work with experienced people who will help you in learning. And you are not afraid of challenges. You want to work in a challenging and creative environment. Fine. Okay. Next, move on. After this, you have to tell about your academic excellence. You have to mention about your qualification, like from where you did your 10th, how much percentage you acquired, and in which year you did your 10th. Same in case of 12th. Suppose if you have not completed your degree yet, you are still in the process. So in the percentage column, you need to mention pursuing, right? Because you are telling them that the degree is not completed yet. You are still doing your degree, right? And in between, you are applying for the internship. And in the year column, you have to mention about how many years it will take. If it's a 3 years degree course, then you have to tell about from for example, from 2013 to 2016. Okay, fine. So after academic excellence, you have to tell about your linguistic proficiency. Linguistic proficiency means how many languages you know. For example, I have mentioned about Hindi, English, and Punjabi. So to make to look it more attractive, I have divided it into three different columns, in which I have mentioned about read, write, and speak. So if you want, you can use the same format. It looks more attractive. Fine. There are people who know different languages. Fine. So how would I know if you will not mention it in your resume? So it's very imperative that you should you should mention about the languages which you know. Fine. Okay. Next, move on towards the work experience. If you have worked somewhere, so you should inform the interviewer. You have to mention this. You should inform, I mean to say, you should write this in the work experience under the heading work experience. And if you are not if you haven't worked anywhere, then you should write it that you are a fresher. Fine. So the two things you have to make sure: if you have worked somewhere, if you have worked in more than two organization or in a single organization, so you have to write the name of that particular organization, how long you have worked over there. So these things you have to mention under the heading work experience. And if you haven't worked anywhere, write simply fresher. Fine. Okay. After this, you have to tell about the strength. Okay. So there are some of the strength which I have written. If you want, you can use them as well. Fine. So I have written punctual, diligent, responsible, good knowledge of computer. If you have some other strength, you can also mention them. Fine. Okay. After this, moving towards hobbies. Okay. So there is one thing which I want to tell you people, that whenever you are writing about the hobbies, you have to make sure that you will not copy from somewhere else. It should be your actual hobbies. Suppose if you don't like to read the newspaper, if you are not a regular reader of a newspaper, don't write it, because just because your friend is writing the same thing. Okay. There's a difference between your friend there's a difference between your friend and you. Fine. Just write only those hobbies which you do on regular basis. Fine. If you listen music, then just mention listening music. If you cook on regular basis, just write cook, I mean to say cooking. Okay. Because ultimately, when the interviewer will ask question from your hobbies, so if you are a regular reader, so you can answer the questions very easily. But if you haven't read the newspaper on and you are not a regular reader of the newspaper, you won't be able to answer. There are people who write reading books, although they don't like to read books, but just to impress the interviewer, or just to copy their friends, or because someone else is writing the same hobbies, so they just copy from them. That's a very wrong thing. You don't have to do this, because ultimately it will have a detrimental effect on you only. As I have told you, that when you will go for an interview, the interviewer will definitely ask questions from your hobbies as well, right? So write only those hobbies which you do on regular basis, which are your actual hobbies. Fine. Okay. Next, moving towards reference. If you want, you can also provide the reference. If for example, if you are a student, then you can provide the reference of your faculties, your principal, your associate dean. So you have to mention about their name, designation, and mobile. Fine. So this is all about the format of a resume. If you want, you can use it to prepare the resume for your job interview or for the internship interview. Fine. So this is the basic format which cover all the aspects about yourself. As I have told you, that it should not be more than 2 pages, at least 1 page and not more than 2 page, and it should only contains the relevant information about yourself. Unnecessary and irrelevant information should be avoided. Fine. So that's all for today. Thank you. I hope you have learned something new. For more such videos, kindly subscribe to my channel.